Hey everyone, it's Finn here from the NOLA Nerdcast talking to Sean at the DreadXP booth about a little game called Secret of Weepstone. First of all, demo, somehow even better than last time. But break it down for people. What is this game and why are you so cool for bringing it to us?
Well, I'll answer the first part of that question. Weepstone is based on early 80s D&D, like late 70s, early 80s D&D. It was built basically around the BX D&D rules, is where we started, kind of house ruled from there. But I've always loved that style of art, the black and white style of art, and it's been years that I've wanted to bring that to life in a game.
Yeah,
I've been dreaming about doing that, and I wanted to make a game that felt like you were kind of stepping into one of those old modules. So that was where it started. It's come a long way in terms of the direction hasn't changed that much, but in terms of what we implemented into the game. But I've always felt like there's so much art in the books, especially in the modules, the map, and only the DM, me when I was younger, I was usually DMing, that only the DM saw. And how can we share? I was always trying to, do cover pages up and show it to my players, oh, look at this. Because I love the art so much. So this game attempts to get the player view from both sides of the screen, so to speak.
And just visually, it's so striking because it's almost exclusively black and white.
Yeah.
But it still invokes those classic dungeon crawler types of games. But then it's very hardcore old school D&D. And I like that you use enough splashes of color that you don't feel lost about what's interactable and not. So last year when I was talking to Hunter about this game, he talked about that you got inspired by one of your favorite modules as a kid. So how did you go about making this an original thing without leaning too far into what inspired you?
I would be lying if I didn't say that all the games I played growing up and all my experiences play into everything that I make. And I think that one of the fun ways that it differs with role-playing, though, is that so much of the kind of what I'm bringing, my ideas, or when it comes to the writing Hunter's ideas, for example, one of the characters that's in the demo, or that you can play, the kid, was a character that Hunter played in one of our campaigns.
Nice.
And he has a teddy bear with him.
The loaded teddy bear.
A loaded teddy bear with basically, when we played, it was these little statuettes, and it became his weapon. And so, those stories were, all of those experiences were, play into, the creative when it comes to this game. So, there is this line that you have to walk between paying homage to something that you love and creating something original. I totally get that. And I think that just, I think that I am on the right side of that line, but it's something I am mindful about. There's some art in the game that is not in the demo that is kind of reminiscent of certain things from famous images, intentionally, of course. But when we were planning that kind of thing out, I'm like, okay, well, it needs to be they know I'm doing this on purpose, not I'm ripping someone off.
It's a wink and a nod, not a rip off. And that's a fine line.
Exactly.
But I believe in you. You got this.
Yeah. So, and then there's just the approach that we take to the art when it comes to the black and white, and hopefully this came through, was, it was very difficult when you're working with only black and white, there's a lot of challenges, right? How do you make it so things don't just mush together? Yeah. How do you keep the UI separated enough from the world, the 3D world? And so it's very easy to do that wrong, and so the reason I love that, though, is that was the same constraints that those old artists had. When they're designing an image, they can only make it black and white. It's going to be really small in a book, and it has to read well. That's creates a lot of challenges.
I mean, sometimes limitations just bring out the best in your creativity.
Exactly.
So it forces you to think about things that you wouldn't, and then the end result is usually something really cool.
Exactly, and as you're designing, and we run into this all the time. A lot of the art, it's a 2.5D game, right? The enemies are 2D, so the camera locks into position when you're fighting. There's times when you'll come into a room and see something before combat, and I want to show something, but we have to lock the camera in because it's 2D. And so we have to be really creative how we design encounters. And it's very tempting a lot of times to be like, well, why don't we just do this? But the real answer is struggle a little bit more, think a little bit more, and then we'll come up with something, and we do,
Speaking of struggle, it's not an easy game because the combat is again designed around these dice rolls. So just like in D&D, anything can go wrong, right. And everything can go great. But what I think is really cool is, as someone that tries to play games perfectly, right? Like the urge to, I lost a character, let me restart a save. You kind of disincentivize that because you almost encourage the death of your characters, because each time a player dies, that character grants a permanent boon or a boost to everybody else. Right. And I think that's a really smart way. How did you come up with that as a way to kind of let players know it's okay to mess up?
Yeah. Well, so, of course, old school D&D was brutal. It was definitely tilted out of the player's favor. I mean, that's just how it was. So you didn't always want to fight, that wasn't always the best way to do it. And experience in Weepstone is earned by treasures, not really you don't get very much from fighting. You level up by getting the treasures that you maybe got from not even fighting, like you found a better way. And so I think that the design challenge was, like you said, how do I make a game where when someone dies, you don't immediately want to reload? And because in D&D, there's no reload.
Yeah.
Of course. And so I had to come up with something that would be like an incentive to just kind of sweeten the pot a little bit about death and let you have something fun, more fun with death. So not just the way you died, which I try to make fun, but also to give them something that would be like a reason to keep that person dead.
Yeah.
And just to train the player, you know what I mean? Train people that's okay. Because your gut instinct is reload. And that's why I'm like, wait.
Yeah.
Don't
it's
do that
great.
yet.
And you even do the death splash pages. It almost feels like an obituary.
Yes.
The aesthetic in this game is unmatched to anything I've played so far this year.
Oh, thank you.
And it lends itself to so many just fun stories that might not play out the same. I was doing really well, and then I in a kobold encounter, I was killing them. I wiped out 3 of the 5, and then one got a nat 20 on me.
Yeah.
And one shotted me. And it was my favorite of the 6, and I was like, son of a... And then at the same time, I had another character that it was hanging on to life with only 1 HP, and 3 of them critically missed in a row. And
Nice.
I was that's the kind of story that you don't get in a scripted narrative.
Right.
And it's fun. I succeeded in a very low roll to break down a door. Mm-hmm. And so I got to encounter something that if I played again, I most likely would have failed and not experienced that moment.
Right.
And I just think that's really cool. It's not easy to bring over that feeling from the D&D to this. And it's a different experience than most people would see in a Baldur's Gate 3. Because a lot of people that have played D&D inspired games are coming from that.
Right.
And it's a different style, but I think you're doing a really good thing bringing this different version of D&D to gamers.
It is. It is a totally different experience. I mean, intentionally, I loved Baldur's Gate 3. I loved it. I've got 120 hours or so, and it was really fun. It's just it shares the DNA of course, a D&D game, style game. But it is a different experience in that if you've played only modern role-playing games, you might not have ever had anyone die. You don't know what that feels like.
Right.
Someone I was just talking to said, you don't know what you wouldn't know what it feels like to make a character and write a backstory and fall in love with that character and then have them die. Like, that is a visceral thing that you will remember, and it doesn't have to be bad. Like, that's my favorite. Some of my best memories are from characters dying.
Yeah.
And to never have to think, what if you never had any of those stories? Like, my memories of D&D would just be very different. Not necessarily better or worse,
right,
but different. And so, so the goal was, how do I teach people that that's okay to have character death, and it can be really fun. How do you do that? And when you're designing a game like you have to kind of get analytical with it and think, okay, well, I don't want it to make it sound manipulative, but I need to kind of get you past your first death.
It is your job as the game designer to incentivize.
Right, yeah. Once you're past your first death and you're like, okay, that wasn't so bad.
My first death granted once per encounter I got to re-roll something. I'm like, that's powerful ability.
They're meaningful. Like, I fully expect when the game comes out for that to be gamified. Like, people will min-max it. Like, all right, first thing I'm going to throw Krieg down the latrine. I'm going to, people are going to, that'll be played out.
Yeah.
People, they'll be killing their characters on purpose, which is fine. Play however you want.
Yeah. So when the game comes out, because I got to feel like we're close to launch, right?
It won't be this year, I don't think.
No. It's so polished, that's shocking.
Well, it's just content, and
that's fair.
Some of the systems are still being worked on and tweaked, but yeah, there's a lot of content left, and we just want to make sure it's like good, really good.
How long of an experience are you hoping to craft for people? Like, how long, are we, because Baldur's Gate 3 is not, by any accounts, a brief affair.
Right.
But a D&D module can also be fairly brisk.
Yeah.
So what are you looking to give players?
I mean,
ideally,
don't hold me to
of
this,
course.
But I think a 20-hour game.
You heard it here first, folks. Sean promises a 20-hour experience.
Write that down somewhere. I'm hoping for like an average of 20 hours.
And you know what?
For your first playthrough.
That's fantastic. So,
yeah.
And also, like you said, it encourages just that nature replays.
Yep.
So, what would you say to someone that is on the fence, like pitch them, like hard sell somebody? Why do they need to have Secret of Weepstone on their radar?
I joke with my daughter about this, but like I always picture myself as, I don't know if you ever played the Monkey Island games,
yes,
but there's a character named Stan who's always gesticulating with his arms selling something. I feel like
that's
Stan. So my pitch would be, well, first of all, there's a free demo. You can't go wrong with free.
On Steam.
It's on Steam right now. Please wish list it. It helps the algorithm. But I mean, the elevator pitch would be, this is a different experience. If you like role-playing games, if you want to play something different than what you've probably played before, innovation is my number one goal when it comes to game development. So I really think this brings a new, unique experience to players, and it's worth checking out at least.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I like to end on a random question. So this is it's actually the hardest question you'll probably answer this show.
All right.
Hard-hitting journalism right here.
All right, gone.
In your heart of hearts,
yeah.
If you have to choose, cake or pie?
Oh, it's pie. I knew.
There's no right answer, but
always.
That's the right answer.
But yeah, that's what
Banana cream is my choice too.
I don't have birthday cake. I have banana cream pie. So yeah, that was an easy
I knew. You know what? You clearly have good taste,
See?
so this all makes sense.
All right.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.
My pleasure.
DreadXP, beyond Secret of Weepstone, they got too many good games, all with like a horror or creepy tinge to them, and you should check them out. But also wish this, help this man out. Look at him. He needs your help.